Hello, my name is Clay. I work with the Forest Service under fire here in Utah. I'm from Wyoming. I went to college and learned about wildland firefighting there. I was quite lost in college. Ended up taking a course that I wasn't expecting, and I learned about the water crisis through a book called Wine to Water. It's about a guy named Doc that was lost, just like I was, and he learned about the water crisis as a bartender, and he started a nonprofit, and he's still fighting water today. I always had that passion when I saw his life, and I always had those memories playing in my head when I was going into test. I dropped out of college. I went to fire, loved it, but I always donated water filters or a well for Christmas. But I wanted to do more. So after a few seasons of firefighting, I decided to sign up for a trip with Wine to Water to Nepal on my off months. It was my first experience with like a third world country, really seeing like the reality of how they're living and their circumstances with just trash and the way they're getting their water. You know, they're having to walk miles, or they're getting contaminated water and they're being sick. So seeing that and having that connection of working in the village with the locals, that eye-to-eye contact, that fire aspect of seeing what the job was needed done and doing it without being told or without an explanation. So I just loved that feeling, and I loved that gratitude that I had with the water, same as fire. So coming back, I signed up to go to the Dominican Republic with them, doing ceramic filters. And again, that was just such an inspirational experience that I was kind of torn between fire and water, but I went into that fire season ready to make some more money to continue water efforts in the winter and continue my fire career. A few months into the season, we're burning on forest in Vernal, Utah, and the Dollar Ridge fire starts blowing up, and then it floods, it rains. So there's fire, there's water, and we go in there for flood rehab. So we're a 2-week assignment, and about a week, 8 days in, the fire starts to pick up. We start burning off a saddle, miss it, jump to a road, miss it. 13 days into that assignment, in the morning, I jumped over a fence while we were burning to grab a work item, and I broke and dislocated my hip. I flew to Provo, had surgery the following day. It took me out of fire, and it has. I was told I wasn't gonna work for, or be able to walk for 12 weeks. And at the same time, that fire picked up, and then right after I left, 2 weeks later, it flooded, and then it picked up again. So it was fire, water, fire, water, fire, as my whole hip injury happened. With that, I was broken because I lost that fire passion. I couldn't do it. So I really dug into water and what I could do. So in a month, I was able to fly out to North Carolina with Wine to Water, meet the whole staff at their summit conference. And I got to just build my knowledge of the whole water crisis and what's going on, and I got really inspired. So 4 months later, I went to the Dominican Republic again and Nepal for about a 10-week stay, doing a gravity-fed tap stand. And coming back, I was coming back to fire, and I was still broken to where I couldn't carry a pack and I couldn't do that fire mission. So I was pretty hurt. My crew, you know, they got that Alaska roll that happens every 4 years, and then they were planning on going to the Grand Canyon, and I was quite jealous, I will say, because I couldn't do fire or water. At the same time, this was when Hurricane Duran happened. I've had ties with the Bahamas, doing some different aid work there before, back in high school. So I really wanted to do something, but I felt like I was tied down. And then a few days later, I got a call from Doc that they needed help distributing Sawyer filters and RO systems. So I was able to fly out a week later and do that. My first disaster relief, of course. So I was very shocked by seeing homes just leveled, families totally gone, having to go to the States or go to other islands to get aid. Normally it's just the husbands back working, but they need that water, they need that clean water. So all that flooding that happened, it's all salt water. So it seeped down through the porous ground, killing all their vegetation, and it's getting into their water, so they're pulling up salt water. They can't drink that. The Sawyer filters can't do that, but the ROs can, the reverse osmosis. So I was doing that, and at the same time, I'm flying over these islands, and I'm seeing these forest fires. And so I had this tie because I'm driving in a truck next to Doc, the guy that's giving me this water inspiration, while there's 15-foot flames burning right next to our truck while we drive down to the school. So it was kind of a cool experience just to have that disaster relief and really use my fire background of, you know, getting the context. This is the mission, what we got to do to make it happen. You know, I was out on my own for the most part. So I just love that, and I want to continue doing that. I couldn't go back to fire, and I still can't. I had a recent surgery, and I'm going to have possible future ones. So water's been a huge outlet for me, and I want to continue my efforts. I've done some filter builds, but I also want to bring the fire community involved, and I think Fire Fights Water could be a huge movement that could really inspire a lot of people, and we could make a huge impact as a community of a brotherhood. So yeah, I have a vision of raising money for Wine to Water because they're doing a lot of stuff with COVID. I just got done with a 2-week quarantine with the firefighters on the module. They got 3 of them got tested positive for COVID from a fire up near Salt Lake. And so, you know, it's affecting us here just as firefighters or as people at work, but it's affecting people around the world like insane because, you know, let alone they don't have clean water to wash their hands. Like, they don't have the basic hygiene lessons either. And Wine to Water is doing amazing efforts by going into schools, teaching kids how to wash their hands, different hygiene, how to clean their clothes, upstream, downstream, different stuff like that. But they're also teaching them, you know, wear masks and all kinds of stuff, but also giving them that filtration device of water. So I want to continue my efforts by helping their programs. They have programs in Nepal, the Dominican, the Amazon, and Tanzania, and they're doing all wash programs there and hygiene. So I have a fundraiser idea. It's called Drop in the Bucket, and I hope you can stay tuned because I would like you guys to get involved. Thank you.